to boost the rand. US markets got off to their worst start for the year after Trump yesterday gave his first news conference since his election victory. Now, Wall Street has been breaking records for 2 months on the back of promises that Trump made that could boost the economy, but he gave no details yesterday on tax cuts, on infrastructure spending, and instead spent a lot of time slamming the media and US spy agencies. Well, the rand, as we were discussing, is soaring, mainly because the dollar has weakened significantly on the back of that. The rand strengthening by more than 2%. Earlier, we asked market analyst Maudi Lentsoane if investors were perhaps expecting too much from Trump yesterday.
Those kind of moves that we saw in a space of a month, one could say perhaps there was a bit of an overreaction. We had done a lot within a short period of time, and without any concrete clarity as to what the policy was. And he hasn't actually uttered, despite the fact that that was exactly the policies that he had mentioned during his campaign, but there was nothing on paper. There's absolutely nothing on paper at this stage. We have to wait and see exactly what he tables. And of course, if he does, live true to what he said during the campaign, certainly we could see, the market move higher. But at this point in time, I think investors are questioning whether his bark is not going to is not bigger than what his bite is going to be.
All right, so the gold price is benefiting, but the gold price up and the weaker dollar helping our rand. Explain how this is playing out on our market today.
No, most certainly. The gold price, one of the beneficiaries, and of course our currencies, the emerging market currencies, certainly benefiting from the weaker dollar that we're seeing. Remember, it was the opposite when Donald Trump came through when he was elected about a month ago. The dollar was strengthening quite aggressively and our currencies were weakening. The gold price was under heavy pressure. So we are seeing the reversal of that. Look, it's still early days because in about 8 days, we've got the Donald Trump, who's going to be elected as officially inaugurated as a president, and he's going to have to give an inaugural speech. And I think in that speech, he might, give some clarities. Even though he didn't offer the clarity yesterday, those clarities might still come in about 7 days or 8 days to come, next week sometimes, when he's inaugurated. And I think that's where perhaps we could see a little bit of a pullback again, a dollar continue to rally, and also more pressure coming through for our currencies, particularly the emerging market currencies. So there's a lot still waiting on the way, and there's a lot of clarity that could still be provided by Donald Trump. So it's going to be a bumpy ride as we begin to understand exactly what Donald Trump's government means for America, what it means for the world. A lot of tension already between America and China when it comes to the trade. We know that the Chinese announced in the morning today that they're imposing some tariffs, some taxes on the maize imports from America. So there's already kind of tension between China and America. And of course, we'll have to wait and see exactly how it unfolds.
Okay, so the rand could be buffeted. For now, it's up. And will this help, Maudi, just in factory data and, of course, with the manufacturing sector, a worry? It was last year in South Africa, but there were signs of improvement. Production increased by 1.9% in November after a contraction in October. Will that be seen as great news today?
Certainly good news for South Africa to see those numbers come through much better than expected. And I think, it speaks about that fourth quarter, which wasn't so bad. And I think we saw a very nice recovery. We had the rating agencies coming through in that fourth quarter of 2016. There were a couple of positives. The green shoots that we saw in that in the fourth quarter of 2016 certainly are going to benefit our economy, and we're expecting the fourth quarter GDP to be announced soon. Also, I mean, those will certainly, I think, we expect them to come in better than expected. So overall, the economy, even though it hasn't done that great, we're expecting about 0.4% for the 2016. That's the GDP growth. So I think a lot of positives would have come through in the fourth quarter. We had the rating agencies which did not downgrade our economy. We had the confidence numbers coming through better than expected, and these numbers that we see now also evidence that, of course, the fourth quarter would have been much better.
All right, so some positive news there. Finally, let's just look at one stock because it's doing so incredibly well. Richemont releasing an update, and the stock's up by 6% earlier. This is, of course, the company based in Switzerland, founded by Johann Rupert, but it's very important for our local market, isn't it?
Most certainly. I mean, Richemont remain one of those stocks that just continues to really surprise and do exceptionally well. And I think it speaks about two markets. That's the luxury goods market. And when you compare it with the other numbers that came through today, which is the Woolworths numbers, which is more for the lower LSM.
All right, we're cutting into that interview because you can see the president behind me